Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. I, for one, am doing pretty well. I wanted to talk to you guys today about the importance of taking time off during your PhD. This video is inspired by the book Rest by Alex Soojung Kim Pang. I've talked about it a couple times. I think I have a video all about one particular chapter, which is about the benefits of walks. So I'll have that video linked down below if you haven't seen it. I also have it mentioned this in my sort of top 5 productivity books, which seems counterintuitive because when you think of productivity, you definitely don't think of rest, but you really should, and this book explains why. This one isn't available on Audible. That's how I typically like to listen to my productivity books. I'm actually listening to another book by Alex Soojung Kim Pang called Shorter, which essentially is applying a lot of these principles in the book, but in more of the workplace environment, so like big companies, and it explains the benefits of shorter work weeks and shorter work days and how it sort of impacts the productivity of entire companies. This book is certainly more for your personal benefit of taking time off and how that can affect your work and how that can affect your productivity. I really love this book. It's on my Christmas reread list. I really did love it. I have so many notes in it and I'm really looking forward to reading it again. The most important thing that I learned from this book was all about the creative process. And for a PhD or any knowledge work really, you might not think it, but it really is a creative process. So when you're creating new knowledge, which is essentially what we're doing in a PhD, you are doing creative problem solving. So you need to be mentally ready for creativity. So I'm not even going to talk about the physical and mental health benefits of taking days off. I think people know that you need to take time off to be physically and mentally healthy. I'm not even going to talk about those because those are a given. This is going to be talking about the importance of rest in terms of creativity, which is then going to really impact your ability to do creative problem solving as part of your PhD. So the creative process is described in a model given by Graham Wallace in the book The Art of Thought in 1926. 1926, like it's so long ago. And yet I still feel like it's so applicable today. The first stage of the creative process or creative problem solving and having those creative breakthroughs, which we really need to have for a PhD, is preparation. So that's when you formulate the problem, you read as much as you can, you think about it, you really try to get together all the materials you possibly can, any diagrams, anything like that. So in your PhD, that's going to be when you're reading all the papers and looking at all of the current models and stuff like that are used to try and solve whatever problem, and you really try to dig deep into this problem. You try to think about it in every possible way, and then when it's a big problem, you will eventually hit a wall, and this is something that will happen in PhD work. Eventually you will just strike out and you don't know where to go because you haven't yet had this creative breakthrough. This is then the time where you should go into the incubation phase. This is where you should leave your work. I know, crazy. Leave your work, go for a walk. This is the time when your mind needs to rest, but in an active way. Active rest, essentially. When your conscious mind is not concentrating on the problem at hand, your subconscious mind will be working away on it in the background without you even realizing it. And eventually it will figure it all out for you, because if you've done all of the preparation, your mind already knows somewhat of an answer and it can work on it in the background. But for this to happen, you really need to be resting. If you're still working on the problem, still thinking about the problem actively, your subconscious mind isn't able to work because you're still consciously working. Incubation phase, it can last anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of weeks, but eventually one of these solved ideas will bubble up to the surface, and that will be your aha, creative breakthrough. I've done it, I've got the answer type of situation. This would be your moment of illumination, which is phase 3 of the cycle. And then obviously you need to go and check, do you actually have the answers? The last phase is verification, where you go and test your solution that you've come up with and see, does it actually fit the problem? Now, then you may need to go back if it doesn't work out, keep going, and you might have several illuminations for a given problem. Most likely that will be the case in a PhD, that you won't just go, aha, I know the answer, and then magic, presto, done your PhD. Usually you'll have to do this a couple of times, but eventually you'll get there. And the most important takeaway there is that the incubation phase is super important. And for that to actually happen, you need to be resting. You need to take time off, and you really, really need to just allow your subconscious mind to do the work. There are loads of strategies in this book for different ways that you can stimulate creativity and actually lead yourself to a place where you're maximizing the possible creative breakthroughs that you can have. I'm going to go through some of the headings so that you can have an idea, and I would love to do a different video on each of these if that's something that you want to see. At the beginning they do all this sort of introduction, which is where they talk about the creative process, which I love. Part 1 is stimulating creativity. So the headings are 4 hours, which is working for 4 hours a day. That's something I've talked about a few times on this channel. It's to do with deep work. Morning routine, which is something I've fallen out of and need to get back into. So I definitely feel like rereading this book will hopefully help with that. Walk. Again, I have a video on that. I'll have it linked down below. Nap. Yes, taking naps is good for you. Turns out it's going to help you with your PhD. Who knew? It's an optimum time when everyone's working from home to start employing things like that, like walks, napping, things like that you wouldn't obviously be able to do in the office. Then we have stopping work, and then sleep. So this is all for stimulating creativity. Then we have a section on sustaining creativity. The headings under this part are recovery, exercise, deep play, sabbaticals, and then we have a conclusion on the restful life. This book, deep work, and the 12-week year, and in the flow, and I guess the 80-20 rule would be my top 5. I've talked about that before. I'll have them all linked down below. I highly, highly recommend. They literally change your life in terms of how you work. This is one I've definitely not been doing as well lately. You can tell that because I've been tired in my vlogs and I haven't been doing the things in this book, and I need to be, because it's definitely going to start impacting when I get back into project work. At the moment, I've been working on my transfer report. That's not exactly creative work. I'd say that's more mentally like convergent, because you're trying to pull everything together that's already been done. It's not really a creative task, and so it hasn't really mattered quite as much that I haven't been doing this stuff. And to transition into good work afterwards, I need to be back doing my restful things. I really hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to show you what I did on my day off, my nice day of rest, which has already made me feel so much better. I just wanted to show you what I got up to. Just back home after spending the day out and about, having a nice afternoon off today was so nice. But like naturally the second I get home, I'm back in my pajamas. It's like 5 p.m. It's also pitch black outside because it's winter here, and it just feels like the proper night to get cozy and just really chill. I'm gonna put on some sort of Christmas movie, I feel, or possibly a show. I've been watching Atypical recently. I'm really enjoying it. But definitely it's going to be a nice, cozy, relaxed evening after a lovely day out and about. even if this Christmas tree bush